All right, so this is session 2 of the Smart Financial Wellness Stimulus Financial Planning webinar series put on by the McLean County ROSC Chestnut Credit Counseling Department for the problem-solving court participants and for the YouTube channel as well. If you're watching from home, hi YouTube.
Hi.
So we have with us today myself, Murphy Richard. I am a recovery support specialist here with Chestnut Health Systems. And then we also have Angi Chasensky and Brian Irwin, and I'll let them introduce themselves now.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Angi Chasensky, as Murphy just offered, and I am the ROSC, which is an acronym for Recovery Oriented Systems of Care, the project coordinator for the grant, looking at basically recovery supports in the community when people graduate from treatment.
Hi. I'm Brian Irwin with Chestnut Credit Counseling Services. We try to help the community and people with financial struggles, and glad to be here today. Murphy, could you allow me to share my screen?
And just to give a little bit of background here, I mean, this all started because I know for myself as a person in recovery, financial matters can be stressful, triggering. I neglected my financial wellness when I was in addiction and had to learn how to do a lot of things early in recovery. That knowledge, coupled with the current financial climate, economic stimulus payments due to COVID-19, and income taxes this time of year, any kind of large chunk of money that you're going to get all at once, I know can be not only triggering, but it can be daunting and stressful. So we put this together, and really Brian and Angi have done most of it here. So we put this together in order to provide people early in recovery with not only maybe some relapse prevention, stress management stuff, but also just a general overview of financial wellness and recovery and what that looks like. We hope that we can link you with some resources if you need further external resources as well, whether that's through credit counseling here at Chestnut or otherwise. So, and with that, I will turn it over to Brian.
Let's bring it back a little bit. And, before we talk about money, before we talk about budgeting, I want to, intercept with, let's start with the sober breathing activity, because sometimes some of these elements may be triggering for someone. And I know for me, for instance, whenever I look at budgeting my finances, especially when I have a windfall, a lot of cash coming in, that can be stressful. Not only looking at some of the damage I've done in my past, but also how to plan to get out of that damage and plan not to get in that damage anymore by budgeting some of my finances coming in. So this is an exercise you could do almost anywhere and anytime because it is very brief and quite simple. It can be used in the midst of a high risk or stressful situation. And here I'd like to add that it can be used also when you're feeling those feelings of euphoria or in good times, to really be mindful and being present in your given moment. So if you're upset about something or happy, and when you're experiencing urges and cravings to use, it can help you to step out of automatic pilot and become less reactive and more responsive and aware and mindful in your response. So let's start with S. S is simply stop. When you're in a stressful, risky situation, or even just random times throughout the day, remember to stop and do this exercise. This is the first step in stepping out of automatic pilot. And see, just as we're always used to talking about things and jumping right into even maybe possibly this presentation, we're just gonna take a pause, pump the brakes a little bit. Let's just all stop. Next, observe. Let's observe the sensations that are happening in your body. Even thinking about this discussion we're about to have, thinking about your own financial situation, observe any emotions, moods, or thoughts that you are having. Just notice as much as you can about your experience. Next is let's just breathe. Allow your attention to settle on your breath. So I invite everyone right now, let's just go ahead and take one deep breath in and hold it at the top. And let's slowly release together. Now this will help us to go on to E, which is expand. We're going to expand our awareness to include the rest of our body, to our experience and the situation, seeing that we hold it all gently into our present awareness. R is respond. Respond versus react, which I know that's something that I even still have to challenge myself to stop and think about, Angi, are you responding to your environment or are you reacting to your environment? So we want to stay mindful and with awareness of what is truly needed in the situation. how best you could take care of yourself in that either response or reaction response, which we always want to be responding. With that being said, Brian, I think we're ready to go.
So what is budgeting? Budgeting is planning ahead, which brings financial control and self-confidence and reduces stress. Money attitudes. Attitudes are beliefs and opinions, positive and negative, that people form and that influences their behavior, will influence the way people act and the decisions they make about money. Attitudes are shaped by past experiences, lifestyles, and income levels. Goal setting and planning. We are more likely to follow a spending plan when it covers a particular period and includes specific activities, goals, and evaluation methods. Think of immediate, short-term, and long-term goals. Make SMART goals. They need to be specific, they need to be measurable, attainable, realistic, and with target dates for completion. An example, start saving money. Need to be specific. Decide how much and what for. Save for your emergency fund or saving for a vacation. Or you want to buy something new. Measurable. Do you have a system set up to keep track of your savings? A savings account? A coin jar? Attainable. Can you save money without sacrificing a priority bill? What are you willing to give up or cut back on? Making it realistic. Saying that you're going to save $500 in 2 months may not be realistic. Start out small. Your target date, I want to have $100 saved by a certain time. Financial goal setting, money mantras. I love these. I am a smart and informed consumer. You avoid spontaneous purchases. I will take responsibility for my personal and financial well-being. I will never confuse self-worth with my net worth. I like this one too. I spell mistakes Lessons and learn from them. I am committed to creating a better personal and financial future. Savings is not done with a sales receipt. The time I spend managing my money is as important as the time I spend earning it. I have the right, the ability, and the responsibility to take control of my money and gain control of my life. My financial circumstances will improve when my financial behavior changes. And Angie will take it from here with our first exercise.
Excellent. Thank you, Brian. That's a great lead into our first exercise, which is identifying goals. This is a question that I want everyone to ask, either figuratively or right now or in another situation. Are you ready to improve your financial situation? Now we can identify specific and realistic goals that we can achieve by a certain date. So here's maybe the first global question you may ask yourself. What will help you improve your financial situation? Now, this is one of the activities that can be very overwhelming. This is a very large question. So let's break that down a little bit. We don't want to look at everything all at once. So let's just look at one aspect of how you can improve your own situation. So for example, to pay off one of my debts within 6 months, I will hand over, just say $5 a week to a trusted confidant to put into a savings account. So I really want to emphasize that it doesn't have to be all or nothing. Going back to Brian's example of trying to save, or save like $500 in a couple of months, these can be very hard, unattainable, and that's going to affect your self-worth, possibly, or even your motivation. So let's keep it small and build off of it. What is really important here is progress, not perfection. So we want to, again, with that example, maybe it's $10 a week, and maybe it'll help you turn it over to someone initially until you build up your own, positive, motivation and trust and responsibility factors to where you could just put it aside. But again, let's start with baby steps. And give yourself credit and grace that's saying, I'm trying, but you have to keep trying to make that progress. And only you could define how that and what that progress looks like for you. Another goal would be, I will apply to 3 jobs online or in person every week until I find employment. So this is a good goal. Going back to that first question, like, okay, how can I improve my financial situation? I don't make enough money where I'm at right now. It's hard. So, but I don't really have time to look for a job. So maybe it's as simple as I'm gonna look for 1 job a week and online. So maybe when you go home at night, you're unwinding, changing up your schedule a little bit. Maybe at night when you have that half hour to watch some TV, Netflix, maybe bring out that computer or your phone, be like, what are something that I can look for? And apply that 1 job. Looking at your situation and how you spend your time and just incorporating some of these small, minute changes that'll start to build that progress over time. So, all right, Brian, right back to you.
Assessing your situation, your income, net income after all deductions. Do not count overtime, bonus, or performance monies. Just count what you bring home. Assess your fixed expenses, those must-haves. It is up to you to determine your must-haves. It's your choice. Examples of must-haves can be Netflix, life insurance, or tithing. Periodic expenses, though not paid on a monthly basis, needs to be planned for monthly. Your car insurance, say if you pay that I know some people pay it every month or 6 months or a year. It's cheaper if you do it once a year. So you still have to save for those every month. Birthdays, how much are you going to spend on your significant other's birthday? You have to determine how much you want to spend and then divide it by 12. Planned doctor visits, if you have a pet, veterinary visits, I think those cost more than doctors. And license plates, those are annually. You just take that $155 a year now for a license plate on your car. You have to divide
I need that
by
breathing
12.
exercise.
What's that?
Sorry, Brian. I said right when you said that, I need that breathing exercise right about now.
Oh, your variable expenses. These are the ones we can control the most and dictate how much we spend, like groceries and eating out or Uber Eats. And again, you must calculate your monthly income as net, what you're bringing home. List your family's expenses and other debt obligations you have, rent, mortgage, car payments. What is left over from the above is your variable expenses, not in the reverse. Tracking your spending habits. Key to understanding your spending behavior and habits. Challenge yourself to track all discretionary spending for at least 2 weeks. Do not use debit card receipts or a check register. Every time you buy something, get a receipt and write on it what it was for, throw it in an envelope, and then at the end of the 2 weeks, put it out on the table. You'll be surprised. It spells out exactly what you spend your money on. You just have to make it a habit of getting a receipt for every time you purchase something. Let's get real. Most of us tend to ignore how much money we're spending. Where might you cut back spending? You have to negotiate with yourself. It's hard to cut back on fun expenses. Example, not going out to eat anymore or not ordering that pizza every Friday. Keeping one's finances on track involves taking an honest and realistic look at where your money goes. Little things add up. A pack of cigarettes at $8 every day or every other day is $1,460 a year. And Angela, we have our next exercise.
And I really want to hone in really quick before we go into the next exercise, talking about identifying external barriers to my goals. I really want to emphasize a great starting point, which you touched upon, is tracking your spending. Because like you said, a lot of us do not know those little things add up, like, that dollar candy bar or, that it adds up. And so I think for a great starting point for anyone is as simple as asking and retaining those receipts. And I like that period, that 2-week period. And then from there, going into, let's try looking at identifying the external barriers to reaching your goals. So while change does start from within, we often find that we have to change within the parameters of the external forces in our lives. And so bringing that example, if we have those receipts to look at, we can look at, okay, this is something that's in my power to change if I'm spending too much here or spending too much here. And this is overall big goal keeping me from my financial wellness or attaining optimal financial wellness. And these external forces can be barriers to your goals, whether they are financial, social, if you go out for coffee with some friends, things like that, cultural or environmental. Everyone encounters external obstacles to their goals at times, even when we are willing and determined to make a change. So again, give yourself grace. If you're trying, or if a goal maybe needs to be modified after a few weeks, don't feel that it's all set in stone. Again, let's keep that mantra in mind: progress, not perfection. So here's some bullets for you to think about when you're ascertaining your values in your financial wellness journey. What are some external barriers in the way of achieving your goals? Are they financial, social, cultural, environmental, or something else? And then what are some resources available to help overcome these barriers? For instance, a goal, for one of the goals as an example, is I have 3 overdue bills that I want to pay off within 6 months. So I'm going to tie it back to that last bullet. What resources are available to help overcome these barriers? Well, here in town, we have like Mid-Central Community Action, we have Home Sweet Homes, and there's always Path that has a plethora of resources that can help you possibly make some of those financial ends meet with some grant assistance or things along those lines if you meet those requirements. But these are some areas and avenues that you can explore to some of those external resources available to you in McLean County. So another barrier may be I live paycheck to paycheck and feel like I'm digging myself into a deeper hole. I do not have time to look for other work. And how do I cut my expenses? So this brings the two goals, the 2 points I brought up earlier, right together, integrated. So the first one, when you come home, maybe looking at your schedule. Hey, in my free time, maybe just once a week, I'll look for a job. That way you also feel better about yourself. You are trying to move forward. And that really doesn't take a lot of time if you're just searching the web online when you're watching TV, or if you have children when they go to sleep, or early in the morning. I tend to get up early in the morning before the whole house wakes up to get some of these things done for myself, for my self-care and my financial wellness. Another thing that could be is cutting your expenses. How do I do that? Where's my money going? So that's the second one I want to integrate into this point, is tracking your receipts for 1 to 2 weeks. You need to figure out, where does my money go? So in order to do that, you need to see where you're spending it. So another resource that we could utilize in order to help, not only ascertain these different things, but some different avenues you could go down for, again, your financial wellness journey, is reaching out to Brian with Chestnut Credit Counseling. He can help you develop a budget. Some other local agencies, I did mention Mid-Central Community Action, also Home Sweet Home, and there's a plethora of other opportunities as well that have additional funding to help those in need of extra financial resources. And then, I did call out Mid-Central Community Action, PATH, the City of Bloomington Township. And again, check out PATH online for additional resources. All in all, the message we're sending is that there's hope. No matter how dire you feel your straits are, or how bad your financial situation may be, or the damage in the past, and trying to, resurrect some kind of credit score or credibility, you're not alone. We are all here to help, no judgment whatsoever. It's never too late to take that responsibility and that control back into your hands. Again, progress, not perfection. All right, Brian.
All right, your budgeting system. Great money managers know their weaknesses. What method of purchasing works best for you? It may be preventing you from reaching financial stability and confidence. Are you a cash person? Seeing cash disappear from your wallet is an eye-opener as to how much you're really spending. Or do you use a debit card? If you carry cash and it burns a hole in your pocket, debit cards might help keep track of your spending. Or do you use a credit card? You purchase everything on a credit card, either for convenience or for perks such as points, but you pay off the balance every month. Regardless, you must know due dates of monthly bills in relation to your paydays for budgeting your paychecks. The envelope system. Cash people, set up envelopes for utilities, phone, cable, insurance, groceries, gas money, etc. You need to put these envelopes in a safe place and not be tempted to make a withdrawal. It works because once the money's gone, the money's gone. The downside is temptation to take cash from one envelope and put it into the other one. Some people are not comfortable keeping cash around the house. Some people, it will be too tempting to spend the cash set aside for bills if it's too accessible. Each payday, have your bank withdraw funds for bills and or save them automatically set up to be paid. This works because obligations can be separated from what money you have to spend. The downside, some do not like electronic banking. They feel the internet is unsafe. If you need to stop an automatic withdrawal, it can be difficult or impossible if needed immediately. Methods of budgeting. The spreadsheet can be ideal for people who use either cash or debit cards. Can break spending down into categories. Helps keep a permanent record for months. Helps with tracking. Easy to make changes to. Ability to automatically give you totals of spending in each category. The downside is your personal expenses are on a computer and others may be able to see it. Keep your computer safe. Need to be familiar with software. I have an Excel spreadsheet designed by the National Foundation for Credit Counselors. I don't like spreadsheets, but this spreadsheet that I have is so user-friendly. It's amazing. So if you need a copy of that, I'd be glad to forward that to anybody who would like it. There are many sources for free budgeting forms. Some are easier than others. You have the Federal Trade Commission, mymoney.gov, NerdWallet, consumer.gov, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Then you have the notebook. It's what my wife likes to use. And I like a notebook too, because I don't know, I've always felt that if I write things down, I remember it, or it just sinks in more. And it works for those with no access to a computer. Writing down expenses is sometimes easier to see than on a computer. You can also use a calendar to budget monthly bills coinciding with paydays. Notebook's not as convenient as budgeting electronically. It may take up space with lots of paper. And there is a link from the Penny Hoarder about budgeting. This is a budgeting boot camp. Thepennyhoarder.com is a trusted resource for many things financial. Wrapping it up, your method has to work with your strengths and weaknesses. Everybody has different ways of doing things, and what one might work for somebody might not work for another. Pick the one that works with you. You must be flexible with your budget. It's not set in stone. And with our final worksheet, I'm going to ask Angie to step back in.
Excellent. Thank you, Brian. And you brought up a good point that when we're discussing these exercises and talking about goals and making SMART goals, write them down. Because not only will they help organize your thoughts, you are going to be more accountable and you're going to be more prone to follow it and remember it. So with all this talk of barriers, and we don't want it to be a barrier that you forget, so let's write those goals down. It is important to look at your strengths as well. So I want you to answer these questions for each of the categories. So how have you made improvements in this area? And we left this vague on purpose. We want you to look at this exercise after maybe a couple of weeks or a couple of months of, trying to work on your budget, your financial wellness, whatever it may be, and look at, okay, how have you made improvements in this area? And what are some strengths that have been helpful in achieving your goals? Let's go back to a couple examples we used in this presentation of, holding on to your receipts. That is a skill, and that's a strength that, I'm holding on to it, I'm remembering it, and I'm storing it away. So these are some skills and assets and values that you want to pay attention to that you can actually translate to even your career or your job that you're looking for. What are some things that you're really good at doing or that you want to get better at? So for instance, in income, this is a category that you can examine like, okay, so how did I improve in this area? I know a couple months ago when I first saw this presentation about financial wellness, I really wanted to look at overall, I need to make more money. So that was your overarching goal. So let's look at income. You may have got a new job. You may have improved your employment, meaning you've either received more gainful employment, or perhaps job stability, you got a different job. You went from temporary to full-time work, or you found a job that better suits your values and what you want to do and brings out those skill sets to motivate you to actually, hey, it's not too bad to go to work today. Now, let me give you a disclaimer. We don't all wake up saying, oh, I can't wait to go to work. There's going to be little things about your job that could be annoying, that's going to be difficult, and you have to reconcile. But overall, you should have an overall feeling of like, you don't dread going to work. And, sometimes, again, there might be some of those annoyances that happen throughout your day. But overall, if you are, totally unsatisfactory in your work or what you're doing, or you're not aligned with a job that pulls out your skills and your assets and your values, that's something that you may want to look at to see how you can find more congruence or alignment with how you're making money and who you are as a person and who you are today. It may be different than where you were a year ago. So that's something we're always evolving, and we're always making that progress on our own personal development. So job satisfaction. Are you performing jobs, again, that align with your value system? And if not, and again, these are very, very general areas and aspects that only you can ascertain and judge. And we're not saying that because you're unhappy, go find a new job. Just trying to find ways to fine tune your own financial wellness and where you can be full body, holistic health, mind, body, and spirit. So here's a couple of just open-ended questions we want you to think about after this presentation. How do you feel about your financials in general? What can you do to build on or capitalize on these resources? And then I'm going to add a third one. How do I identify with myself and even my financial wellness? So I want to bring you, how you perceive yourself, into this picture as well, not just your financials. It's a holistic picture. Right back to you, Brian.
Just some quick tips for saving. Consider opening a multi-use account or a Santa saver. Have money automatically taken from your paycheck and transferred. If you don't see it, you don't miss it. Kind of like your 401k plans if you're involved in one of those. You get used to what you're bringing home. If you get a raise, that's a good way to boost your retirement plan. You're already used to what you're bringing home. You get a raise, you just increase your retirement savings by that percentage. Pay off in the end. Definitely, you want to try to consider utilizing any 401k that your employer may offer. Say you're at the store, you can pocket the money you'd be spending if the price was higher. So you get something on sale. Put that little bit that you saved on that purchase into a savings account. Or you know how much you're going to spend on gas every month and you decided not to drive for a couple weeks. Maybe there was a pandemic or something. Do not pay with coins, only use paper, and then save the spare change in a jar. One thing before I let you go, Chestnut Credit Counseling Service is always here to help with your budgeting needs and most things financial. Our website is chestnut.org/credit. Our services, how to get out of credit card debt. Have you been a victim of identity theft or want to prevent it? Have you pulled your credit report lately and how to improve your score? We help with the classes that are required to file bankruptcy. We offer debt management plans and more. And if you have any questions, feel free. Otherwise, I'm going to turn it back to Murphy to conclude the presentation.
All right. Thank you, Brian. And thanks, Angie, for presenting. I have, all right. Yes. And thank you guys for coming. Appreciate your participation here. That's all we have for today.